Hello and welcome to the GameGuru live broadcast number 9, taking place in what is the middle of a storm. I am not kidding, I'm looking at my window and the gravel is underwater. It's absolutely incredible. So I apologise for the delay, 7 minutes late, but we can take care of that in the edit. Before I go any further, in addition to the heavy downpour, which literally started at 4 p.m, I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up. Just want to make sure everyone can hear me. So if we can get a few yells that you can hear me, I am not talking to myself, and then we can crack on with the stuff I want to show you today. So I've got the chat in my other window. I can have a bit of a peek. And so if you can say yay, then we can get cracking on. There's quite a lot to get through, but I also want to leave some time for questions. As per usual, if you want to ask a question, use a question mark or put the word question in square brackets. That way I can scroll through really quickly on the chat, ask those questions out loud and then answer them. So I've got some reply back now. There's like a 25-second lag when I record live on YouTube, but we're getting through now. We can hear you, sounds good, everything is good, thumbs up, and we can get cracking. Okay, so as I said, you might hear the sound of thunder and rain. Just take that as a bit of a backdrop. Let's use that as a bit of fun. Stage 1, what I want to show you first is this. This is actually the latest assets from the Cellar demo showcase that we're going to release with GameGuru Max. As you can see, we've now left the stony part of the cellar. We've created a door and gone through it, and now we've got this nice faded paint, wooden panels, some doors, some more door frames, nice rusty radiator, some chairs and other bric-a-brac. The artist is having a whale of a time creating this stuff, and I ain't slowing him down, so I expect more. This stuff is absolutely great. But that's not the highlight. The highlight is the progress that we've made so far on GameGuru Max, and I'd like to dedicate most of this live broadcast to that. This graphic that you see here, this is just sort of a wicked scene. The next stage is to take all the individual assets and cut them up, and then they'll become entities that you can use in the editor and place them and recreate not only this demo scene but any kind of scene you want set in this sort of spooky cellar. So I'm just going to go straight to this, which will launch the latest version of the GameGuru Max Alpha, and right away you can actually see we've got some skybox. Wicked actually supports static skies, but it supports it in the form of a cube map. So we had to take sky resources and generate a cube map from it and then give that to the Wicked engine. But as you can see, you've got clear, you've got gold, and you've got night. So you've actually got a couple to start from. And any new skies that aren't part of the stock stuff, you can actually just add that to your folder, and then it will detect it and then it'll create the cube map automatically. But there's other things I'd like to show. And create characters once again, but this time underneath the new Wicked engine rendering system. So as you can see, we've got our chap, our shoeless chappy. I'm going to call him Mr. Lee 2, just in case I've already created him. And we can change his head. As you may remember from the first alpha, when you change the head, it uses the skin pigment to then colour all of the skin. So the skin is appropriate to the head that you choose. You can change all the body parts. I'm not going to be exhaustive here, I just want to show you that you can change a few things. Let's give him some red shoes. Mr. Lee 2, save character, and character is now saved. So if we now go to our entities, we can look for Mr. Lee 2, and there's our chappy. So we drop him down. Another thing I'd like to show that we've actually got up and running is painting paths. So if you remember again from the first alpha, you can set your density and then you can just paint. The path will follow. Voila. And of course, just remember from the last alpha, you've now got test games, so as you see. But as you notice, he's walking a bit slow. So it's another thing I'd like to show you, which of course is you can now go into the properties of the entity, and we can change his animation speed to say, I think I got it at about 250. Of course, this will be default. The animation system is completely different in Max. It uses the Wicked's approach to amateur animation, and so the speeds don't line up because GameGuru Classic did it in its own time system. But we can change the speed for now, so you can actually see that he actually walks more appropriate. So that's a really quick idea of you can create a character, create a path for him, have him walk around the path, and then edit his properties. But I want to show you a lot more, including you can now have a new level, which is a bit more traditional, your top tone view. And what we've now added is markers. So now you've got player start marker, which you might expect that you'd want. You've also got all your marker zones working, so we can drop in an audio, and we've also got lights. So let's say we add this is a point light, this is a spotlight, so we'll drop in a point light, and now we've got light. And as you would want, you can move that light around, and then when we run test game, we can trigger the sound, and now we're standing under the light. Now you might want to know what's going on that panel to the right. So if I click on this light, you'll actually see we've added this new thing. You notice there isn't a pop-up menu like we used to have a widget pop-up menu. It's a little grey thing. But as I've mentioned before, if we keep adding features to it, it's just going to get too long and clumsy. So as you can see, we've moved all them buttons to the right, including, whilst we were at it, you know, you wanted to be able to change your position, rotation and scale using numbers. So now we've got these little tabs. So you've got position, rotation and scale. And with each one, you can actually rotate and scale the position as you see. So instead of here, you can actually just move the position like this. It works much better with, say, an entity. But also, you've got another thing. In fact, let me add an entity right now. So we drop in a barrel, and then we do extract. You're used to that. You know, you extract an entity. Cursor back, it went up to the second monitor. If I choose duplicate cursor, you see what it's done? It left that existing entity intact, and it gives you another one. Then you can hold shift and actually create multiple entities. And if we go to the entity, just to sort of demonstrate that first entity transform panel, obviously you've still got your widget, but look what you can do. You can go into rotation and use these. So you can use the sliders, you can use the scale, actually scale it from here. You can go to rotation and say, I want it 90 degrees, or I want it 180 degrees, and get instant response. So now you've got a lot more control using this transform panel on anything that you normally would have selected with the widget. And of course, we haven't forgotten the properties, so you can go into it, edit the properties, change the script, change the range, anything that you want to do there. But the last thing I'd like to show you, because it's the one I've been working on last, so it's fresh in my mind, is loading in, which you did know existed, but what I have been adding is surface texture generation. What does that mean? Well, the cellar demo items that you've seen, they add a surface. Our artist created that surface texture, but all of the classic models and all of the DLC models, they still use the old PBR system, which sort of scratched a couple of textures and sort of crammed them in. They never really worked. They needed to have been in the proper Wicked Engine surface format. Now, every time you load in an old entity, it will find those textures and then map them into a new surface texture, save them out, so the next time you go to that entity, you'll actually have the proper surface. And because you have the proper surface texture format, you have everything rendered as it should, as Wicked Engine intended. And this is a great demonstration. As you can see, you've got a lot of shiny metal on this one, and as you might remember from the sneak peek last week, it's actually got dynamic environment maps, so you can see it's actually responding to its environment as I move the shiny thing around. We can add another entity, so it always finds the surface, which I think is a really nice touch. Because it's Wicked, it's a super fast raycaster, so don't worry about it slowing down your machine. And then when you select it, we can do what we said before with the transform. We can make it big, and you can see the quality. I mean, once all of the textures are behaving, are in the right places, Wicked Engine just takes over and it renders it really nice to the scene. So I hope you like what you've seen. I apologise for the soundtrack. It seems to have stopped now. So hopefully when I pop my head out, I'm not living in a flooded location. I doubt it. I think it was just one of those freak things. I mean, it literally rained for 10 minutes. So looking at the clock, I do have time for some questions, and I'm going to answer them now. Of course, anything about what you've seen today, ask questions about that, or questions about anything about Macs. It seems like it's a free-for-all on our live broadcast, and I don't mind answering any questions you might have within reason. So I'm just going to scroll back up to the top, look for some questions. We'll spend a couple of minutes doing that, but remember, any questions you ask and don't get answered in the live broadcast, I will answer those in text form in the GameGuru forums thread that will be dedicated to this. So just scroll through, get past the worries Lee, what's all that noise, can you hear me? Yes. And now we're going through to hopefully the first question. What is that in Celsius? I think that's reference to the heat that's going on, which actually explains the thunder and the storms. Actually, right now in this my broadcast office, let's call it my broadcast office, it's absolutely humid, it's sweltering. But I'm going to persevere for you guys and gals. I am going to answer all the questions, or as many as I can, in the next couple of minutes. Are you streaming in your tin shed? Yeah, that's my tin shed is my broadcast office. Fighting storms. There's a lot of weather reports on this live chat so far, but here we go. First question is, will it be possible in the future for Macs, or as well as Classic, to have more than one type of sound for walking on terrain? Yes, we are working on the virtual texture system, getting that so you can paint it easily. And in addition to painting the albedo, you should be able to paint the material ID as well, so that when you do walk on the floor, it detects the material ID, finds out what sound the footfall you should have made, and then it plays that. I think that was an omission in Classic. We're going to add it to Max first. It might be able to then filter back into Classic, but because it's a different terrain system, don't hold your breath on that one. If you want footfall sound effects on terrain, get Max. Or wait for the free demo when we release, and then check it out and see if you like it or not. Is that some raycasted lighting going on there? No, not at all. It's not raycasting. It's just general, really good physically based rendering. That rough was the dog. He was frightened of the thunder, so he's hiding under my desk. Now he's just barking. So let's say he's going to answer some questions as well for any dog questions. Right, I've just let you pause on. Okay, so continuing with the questions, and there are quite a few. Will we get another beta before release? You're going to get another alpha pretty soon. I want you to be able to play with all these toys that I've added, and there will be a beta as well. Beta, in our language, our parlance, it's function complete. That means every single button works, every feature works, everything that you would want to do works in some fashion. Beta then has some issues in some little edge cases that we fix before release. So expect that beta as well. Next question, does Max use Wicked's forward rendering, deferred rendering, or can we choose? I have chose forward rendering. There's a couple of reasons to do with anti-aliasing, etc. Whether you get that choice of the 8 or so different modes for rendering, we haven't exposed that for release. We're just choosing the one that gets us to the finish line with all the features that we want to deliver. In the future, yeah, I think we'll be looking at exposing more of the Wicked's technology as you require it. I mean, there's a lot in there, and we don't really want to spend a lot of time delaying the release just so we can cram everything that Wicked has into it. Here's a question from Paul Walker. Can you confirm whether the Max particle system will be based on Wicked's current one or similar to the current Classic version? Blah, 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 blah. Neither. It will be based on the particle editor from AppGameKit. We're working on a player now which can allow you to create your own particles, export them in the particle editor, import those settings into GameGuru Max, and then drop them into your scene. That means you can create, preview and create all the particles you want, drop them straight into your game. I think that was a great solution. It might be able to blend with the Wicked system at some point, but the Wicked system does things differently enough that it caused additional delays. And we did want some synergy between GameGuru Max and some of our other products. And, there's nothing beats an entire particle editor to create the particle you want for your game. So watch out for that. I really like the new UI. I left the object yet. It was we're going to do some more work on that, but I think that's really good for the release, and it gives us some room to expand more features in the future, because you can see there's a bit of room on that panel. What are the new VR developments? Yes, VR has been going on in the background. We're really happy with OpenXR. It'd be nice if more manufacturers and platform holders could get out their runtimes sooner, bug-free runtimes. We are hitting some walls in that respect. But it's not slowing us down. We're going to implement OpenXR. We have enough runtimes, good runtimes like the Oculus runtime, that allows us to test everything. So OpenXR is on the way, and it's in progress. It's actually quite ahead of schedule, so I'm really pleased about that. Here's a question from John Billington. Will trigger zones check for heights? So it will only work floor of a building. Yeah, we've added that to the script, so you have to be on or nearly above the zone. It won't trigger the zone if you're like 300 miles below it. Someone's reporting lagging. Yeah, please report that. I might be able to tweak the broadcast bandwidth settings in future videos if everyone else is experiencing the same sort of thing. But as I say, we nearly had a power cut. I have a UPS system, so I was prevented from a massive shutdown 3 minutes into the broadcast. But it may affect other things like internet speeds, etc. Because I am broadcasting out of a small part of the world with not much infrastructure. Here's another question. Oh no, that's not a question, that's just a comment. We'll skip to the questions so we don't run out of time. Although I think we have absolutely exceeded, but I'm calling this a special broadcast because I'm being stormed at. Will this have Lua scripting language still in Edge or Edge UK? It's still Lua. We're going to build on Lua. We're going to make it nicer, more commands. We're going to do justice to the Lua scripting language. We're not jumping ship. I actually personally quite like Lua. It gives you enough freedom, and it's super powerful for programming all the logic that you want. Question, will enemies in Max have the same animations like in Classic? Yes. You will have backwards compatibility for existing characters, and the new characters from the character creator will have a smaller subset of animations, but enough for you to be getting on with before we give you just the animations. It'll be a system called animation stacks, so you actually add animations to the characters as you require them. Question mark, will GameGuru have a demo? Yes, when we release, we'll release a free demo, so there's no reason to buy anything until you play the demo, get to like it. If you like it, then you can decide to buy. Absolutely no pressure, just wait for the demo. Question, what properties for lights will be available on the right? Turning shadows on and off, yes, you'll have to decide whether the light can cast a shadow and whether an entity can receive it. And we also have light color, light range, the choice between spot and point. We may expose some more light types. Wicked does a great job of exposing light attributes, but we want to kind of keep focused on let's restore existing functionality before going off on a tangent and lots of new ones. So if you want to find out what might be in your future, check out the Wicked Engine's lighting model. It's pretty cool. How do I pre-order? Jump to the beginning of this live broadcast. Once we put it on YouTube, you'll see there's a web page. Follow that web page. There's a big button called pre-order, and that should get you on your way. Another question, will we be able to use DLC assets from Old GameGuru? Absolutely. Just copy all the assets that you want into the Max folder structure, which doesn't substantially change. And then you can load in your levels, it finds those assets, and then you've got your existing level running under Max for you to improve and continue. Won't be 100% backward compatible. You won't be able to use your old character creators from GameGuru Classic, but you'll be almost there. You'll be able to recognize your level and carry on working on it. Another question, what will be the price of GameGuru Max on Steam for Brazilians? Not a clue. It will be following the price rating, the standard pricing model differences. So you will not have to pay some extortionate exchange rate version of whatever the final price happens to be on Steam after promotions. So don't worry too much about that. We're not really going to do some global single price that you've got to do exchange rates on. But the only answer to that is wait and see. Wait till it's on Steam and you can check out the price and see if it's for you. Will you make new guns in Max? We've made one new gun that respects the new texturing system and the VR friendliness, but you won't expect the old weapons to look that great in VR anyway. So we're doing one weapon so we can show you VR, and obviously we'll expand that in the future. But for all your existing weapons, yeah, you'll be able to use it in non-VR absolutely as you would, because you'd need backwards compatibility. Just checking out the clock. I'll do 2 more questions and then I'll have to do the rest because I'm seriously sweating here. It's absolutely boiling. I think something weird going on with weather right now. Let me just scroll down to a big question from someone who's not got an answer yet. What does the simple prop 3D entity file structure look like? Is it the mesh still in X format? FPE textures in DDS will normal spec. Right, well the good news is we've now got ASIMP built in. So you could use X, but you could also use FBX, GLTF, OBJ, lots of formats which will be natively supported. Internally, it will convert all of those things into a DBO. Means the DBO is standardized, you don't then need that converter process, and it actually loads in the DBOs a lot faster. We prefer DDSs because it allows you to compress them, so it takes up less GPU memory, and but you can still use PNG and JPEGs and all those other cool things. And some of the internal processes, like the creation of surface textures and cube maps, will automatically compress and convert those into DDSs. So we are remaining faithful to a lot of the formats that you might have been familiar with Classic. And the question just underneath it, just to be fair, from Nerf: can you make hybrid traditional gameplay / VR gameplay, as in one level is VR and some others are traditionally played? You know, we're entering new territory here. I mean, I can guarantee that your non-VR experiences will be, you know, standardized and the sort of stuff you'd expect. VR, still a few question marks. You'll notice all the sneak peeks and live broadcasts haven't really featured the VR because it's still in development. But do expect some changes and do expect different kinds of gameplay. But yeah, we still have question marks as to exactly what we're going to be delivering on the VR side and its differences between that and non-VR. But I'll try and expand on that question in the GameGuru forum thread, along with any other questions I haven't answered. And I do apologise if I actually skipped your questions. I was scrolling quickly through the chat. But that's it for now. The sun is out again. It's absolutely freaky that it actually started right on the second of me clicking the go live button, and then now I've come to the end of my live broadcast. The sun is shining and there's not even any water on the gravel anymore. So go figure. Maybe it was a sign. Maybe it was a sign that this was a special live broadcast showing some really cool progress. So I hope you join me in 2 weeks' time for the next live broadcast, and certainly check out the sneak peek video, which will show you more progress of what's going on in GameGuru Max land, universe, whatever you call it. So until next time, I'm going to see if I can find that end stream button. Have a great rest of week, and I look forward to talking at you next time in whatever format it turns out to be. So until then, I'll say goodbye.